Good evening, everybody. This is Andy here, aka Montolio, and we are saddled up for the top 8 of the Classic Quarter Qualifier. And our first round opponent is PlanetWalls I'm playing Stomping Grounds deck, and this deck is just fraught with danger for me, as it is pretty much customized to be able to beat Stax. So let's take a look at what is dangerous about the deck. He obviously has some ramp here, and he's got 2 Birds of Paradise, 3 Deathrite Shamans, 4 Orcish Lumberjacks, that being the most new tech that we've seen out of these 2 turkeys, PlanetWalls and Chris Cool, and it's actually pretty good. Basically, this card is 1 casting cost Sol Ring, where you Mishra's Workshop, where you can sacrifice a forest and add either 3 forests or mountains of any combination, and this card is going to be able to ramp him out very quickly against our deck. So this is something that we definitely want to target with our Revokers should we see one. In addition to that, he's got more ramp in a card we've never seen before, and probably constructed period, in Bloom Tender, which gives a mana for each color permanent that he controls, and this could be pretty good. I mean, basically it's an easy Sol Ring for him should he have a red and green card on the table, or basically a red card because this one's green. And the engine of his deck is the Fauna Shaman, being able to search up for some of his bigger guys as he needs them, and Hammer Mage, we've seen this tech out of them before, and it's pretty good and a very dangerous card in the sense that it will basically wipe our board out if he's got a card to discard for it. So very dangerous. Of course, Scavenging Ooze is pretty good on its own, but definitely weaker in this mashup. And even something like a Tin Street Hooligan is really bad for us, because if he pays a green in the casting cost, he can destroy an artifact. And it gets worse from there, because he's got 2 Seeds of Innocence main deck and a Caustic Wasp, which is basically a monocolored Trigon Predator without the body on it that has evasion, so very scary. Mages of the Moon is a tough card. He doesn't actually run any land disruption, so getting a Magus out against us is pretty bad. Having said that, I would much rather face a Magus of the Moon than be playing against a bunch of Wastelands and Striplines, so we'll have to watch out for that as well. And we're not worried about Thunderscape Battle Mage. Thrun is a good beat stick. It holds back Deathrite or Wormcoil tokens, or Wormcoil engines, and it's also got a Flame Tongue Kavu here, and Caldera Hellions are decent for sure. It's also got a couple Clonian Hydras. Kazul could actually be very good against our deck, so we will definitely be wanting to bring a Karakas in for those. And believe it or not, a Molder Slug, which is as well very good against us. So double Summoning Trap. This is pretty useless in this match. I suppose it could have some power with a Chalice of the Void in play, and something we need to be prepared for. And of course, Rurik Thar, very good against us. So sideboard, he might bring in a Mistkiter Hydra, I'm not sure. It avoids Chalice. It could bring in a Zealous Conscripts, another Calderian Hero. I absolutely suspect we'll see Stormbreath Dragons, very good card, and Aladdin, I'm not sure about this one here, but and another Seeds Innocence. So long story short, this is going to be a very, very difficult match for us to win. I suspect our best chances are going to be Tangle Wires, as Tangle Wires are going to disrupt his mana, and we are looking to do that early on as best as we can. Spheres of Resistance are also going to be good. Of course, Trinisphere, he has no ramp whatsoever. In the event, I get down a turn 1 Trinisphere, that is going to let me get out really fast ahead of him. We also have a one-off Crucible of Worlds, and he does run a substantial amount of dual lands in his deck, so we may get lucky and get ahead of him that way. Of course, the Lodestone Golem is very, very good against him if we can, get into a Workshop early and ramp out and do one of these turn 1, turn 2. Of course, the Metamorphs are very good against his big guys, as well as our own. And Precursor Golem is actually pretty good against his deck. He doesn't have any targeted removal outside of Seeds of Innocence, which just wipes everything out. So it's not like we're going to get hit with Lightning Bolts or Nature's Claims and that sort of thing. So that makes me feel a lot safer playing them. My apologies, I've actually got my sideboard version up here. I'm only running one of these. And I only have 1 Duplicant, 2 Wormcoils, and we've got another Chalice of the Void. My apologies, guys. And 3 Thorns and 2 Null Rods in here. Pithing Needles out of the board. I was doing a little bit of pre-game tech as to how I was going to attack this match, and also got a Caracas in the board. There we go. So Chalice of the Void also could be pretty good here. I can get him on 1 or 2. 1's very good against his ramp, and 2 is very good against his Tin Street Hooligans, Fauna Shamans, and Bloom Tenders. And Wormcoil is a house, obviously. There's not much you can do about it. And Duplicant is surprisingly good in this match in the event that he gets out ahead of me. And he's able to, get one of his big guys, whatever, Rurik Thar or Kuzul or, a Molder Slug, something of that nature. Duplicant will remove those creatures and give me an advantage on the board. So it'll be interesting to see whether we take the role of the beatdown or the control here, or the defensive deck. So we'll see. But you saw what my sideboard tech was. I am going to bring in a Pithing Needle. It does hit some of his good cards. It stops Deathrite Shaman other than the ramp. Will stop Fauna Shamans, and it'll stop Scavenging Oozes, and that's pretty much it. But I can stop him from his sideboard, the Stormbreath Dragons, being able to go monstrous. And of course I forgot to mention the Phyrexian Revokers as well, with all the things that I just mentioned. Even better that it gets Orcish Lumberjacks, Deathrites, and Birds of Paradise from doing anything other than being little 1/1 or 0/1 creatures. So very, very good for us. And yeah, I mean, basically that's what our tech's going to be, bringing another Precursor, another Triskelion, and a Wormcoil, and a Duplicant, all at the expense of the 3 Thorns and the 2 Null Rods, which unfortunately these are 2 dead cards main deck, and these stop Seeds of Innocence. That's about it. So they're kind of duds. But well, let's see what we get. And this is actually really good for us because we've got a turn 1 Crucible, and we can cascade that into a Tangle Wire as well as Wasteland him out. So this is pretty good. Let's see what we can do. Unfortunately, we don't have any spheres, but this is definitely a keepable hand. Okay, so here we go. Let's try this out. We know there's no land disruption, so we're going to go straight for a Crucible. And hopefully we can get a Wasteland lock here. We're definitely vulnerable to some of his ramp, but I think that's fine with a Tangle Wire here. Evidently my speeds are not working here, which is unfortunate for whatever reason. Okay, so that's actually really good for him, but we are going to try and get him under a Tangle Wire here, and hopefully we can get into something pretty good. So that's pretty good for us. The question is do we go for a Chalice at 1 or a Chalice at 2? Mages of the Moon could be very good against us here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to Tangle Wire, and I'm just going to lock him up that way for a few turns and probably try and put a Chalice at 2. I think it's better. Actually, maybe we're just going to set it at 1, just to try and slow his ramp down, and hopefully he has Wasteland or dual lands here, and we can get ahead of him that way. But I think that's a smart play to do, and that way we don't get buried under our own Tangle Wire. Okay. I wonder why my F6s and whatnot are not working. Very annoying. Okay, so this is the scenario where it could actually be good for us because, well, he's probably going to go and get a basic. Strip Mine would be good right here, if you don't mind. Well, Lodestone's pretty good too. So both of these are going to be tied down. I think I mean, it's highly, highly unlikely that he is going to get a non-basic, but I think what I'll do is I'll just play this out and do this. And Lodestone's pretty good in this situation because he gets buried under my stuff here. So it'll be interesting to see if he goes and gets a non-basic here or he does nothing. Seeds of Innocence, I believe, is a sorcery. So I don't... well, he couldn't cast it anyways. And hopefully he does not have a land here. If he doesn't, then we're... yeah, so he got one. So he has... yeah, he's got both. So we need to draw some thunder here. Thorn's not very good, self-admittedly here. So we're going to pound in. That was kind of a whiff on our part. So this is going to get him on 2, and probably unnecessary to do that. The reason I'm doing that is some way he's able to get out a Lumberjack or Magus of the Moon or something of that nature. I mean, this wraps his hand down pretty good, but we definitely need to be drawing some thunder here. Good draws for us would be Strip Mine. Lodestone Golem would obviously be very good. So that gets him there. Hopefully he has no land. And he's got another land. And it's just unfortunate that he keeps getting sack lands because there's just not much I can do about it. But we may as well get him to take all his all his basics out. He's only got 4 of them, so. And actually, he can't fetch a red here. He has to go. Oh, he has 3 forests. I only thought he had 2. Okay. Okay, we're really missing quite badly here, which is putting us in dire straits. And I'm extremely annoyed by the fact our keyboard is not working, so. And he may be able to actually get something out on us here. Actually, no, he can't because of the lodestone. But once again, we have to hope that he does not have a land. He's been hitting really well when we have not been hitting. So we have the Chalice set at 1. And he's got to cast over a Lodestone Golem here. So I think we have a pretty good shot if he doesn't get something out here. So let's draw something good here, guys. Okay. And let's tap. So we need some thunder here. Oh, once again, the worst card we could draw. Really terrible. Well, does keep him off of Seeds of Innocence, so it's better than a, you know, a non-factory land, I suppose. But yeah, that's a pretty big miss for us. We've 3 turns in a row we've drawn duds here, so he's about to get out from underneath our spheres. He's going to have potentially 4 mana. Actually, it would be 3 mana or 2 mana. The good news is that his guys are not too scary at the 2-drop, but hopefully he's got no land and he's stuck on 2. So he does have one. So he was hoarding that there to be able to get out from underneath, which is pretty good. Is this a caustic wasp? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to hit that. And yeah, that hurts a bit, but this has to be blocked. There he dies. So fortunately we're about to be facing a lot of mana. Oh, Duplicant. That's a great card, because what Duplicant allows me to do is, if he casts something big, I can just remove it. Like, you know, I'm not going to take the bird away here. The only card that I think he really hurts me with here is, you know, I guess Flametongue Kavu is pretty bad. I think I kind of have to gamble here. You know, he's out from under my Tangle Wire. I could take the Duplicant. It'll leave him with 2 mana. The question is do I let him try and cast something big, or do I allow him to continue growing his mana? Like, Flametongue Kavu is really, really bad for me. Do I take his mana away? That's the question. Would leave him with 3. Fauna Shaman's not very good. It is double red. It's a really tough decision. I think I'm going to let him try and do something here. Which is debatable whether that's right or not. I mean, he's just got lots of things he can cast, I'm sure. But I would like to get some value out of my Duplicant here. If he plays another Magus, he has to block, unless he actually has another land to cast it. What I wouldn't give to trade a Wasteland for a Strip Mine. Okay, so he does have the land. So here it is, folks. A 4-casting cost spell, potentially. Thrun is really bad for us. Yeah, and it was Thrun. So he got burned. But the thing is, he still have to actually block it. And let's hope we draw something good here. Oh, Metamorph. Well, that's pretty good. Because I think I'm just going to cast it. Yeah, I kind of feel like this is just the right thing to do. You know, there could be arguments for playing Tangle Wire there. And once again, I am going to hold the... he's going to have a lot of mana here. And a Duplicant is pretty much good game for him if he plays something of his one of the larger guys. Okay, so he is officially out from under my sphere, so hopefully he does not have a Seeds of Innocence. He's at 1 life. So this is a critical juncture. He's thinking long and hard here, and you know, hopefully he taps his birds and plays a big creature. Yeah, so that's game. We got him. And we're going to change our keyboard here very quickly. Okay, Kazul is a good guy, but he's not going to do it here. And thank goodness, because we drew a guy that is not very useful to us. Okay, be right back. Okay, guys, let's take a look. So we are going to load up our sideboard plan here, and it's under local deck, and we've got it under Stax, and we've got it under sideboard, and we've got PlanetWalls here. And this is our sideboard plan. So as discussed in the preview, we are going to remove our 2 null rods and our 3 thorns of amethyst, and I think I'm going to take out a chalice here. Reason I am doing that is somewhat arguable as to whether it's right or not, but I did bring in the pithing needle as the last resort here. Pithing needle, it does shut off, I beg your pardon, it shuts off his Hammer Mage, shuts off his Fauna Shamans, which is not insignificant. They're 2 pretty big engines for him. But having said that, Chalice is also very powerful. I'm not sure if that's correct, but on the play, I do not find, or on the draw, I do not find Chalice of the Void to be as good. So let's take this in. I've also brought in a Caracas, because Caracas hits Kazul, and it also hits Rurik Thar in the event he gets a couple of his big guys going here. So let's see how it goes. But having said that, I do think it's something that we want to keep, because we can, you know, turn 1 Sol Ring and get a Revoker on his mana ramp, which is not insignificant against him. Where it would be really, really bad is if he was able to get us with a Tin Street Hooligan or something of that nature. And hopefully we draw into some lands, and, you know, it's... So PlanetWalls is mulliganed. And he keeps this one, so let's hope it's a little bit play light. What we would love to see here is a Mishra's Workshop. Okay. Okay, Trinisphere. That would have been nice a turn ago. I do think we set Revoker on birds. It's not a bad play. You know, if he's got the Lumberjack, then what do? Birds of Paradise, and there we go. And let's hope we draw some land, and he whiffles there. Okay, Deathrite Shaman. He doesn't do too much here. Okay, so this isn't bad. Alright, I'm happy to draw a port here too. Now here's the question. I mean, we can actually... I mean, Trinisphere is a very good card. It makes everything he has expensive. If he doesn't have a land here, he can't do anything against us. The question is do we just outright go for a Chalice here? That's the question. Do I set a Chalice at 2 and then follow up with Tangle Wire next turn? Or do I set it at 1 and play with a Sphere of Resistance? Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I mean, Hammer Mage is really bad for us. Maybe we just set it at 1 and I start tapping his land down. Let's do that. That is really debatable if that is the right play or not. Yes, I will play out the Chalice here. He's got 2 lands, 3. He's got 2 lands here. Yeah, let's do that. So this is a bit of a precarious position to be in, particularly because the Deathrite Shaman is about to get some land here. And there's all sorts of things we could be fraught with here. But I feel like I've taken away more 1-drops than I have 2-drops, but which allows him to ramp into bigger things. However, the 2-drops are more dangerous, so I'm not sure if that was correct or not. You know, this is just how good Revoker is here. What we don't want to get hit with is the Seeds of Innocence here. That would be very bad for us. Not so worried about Mages of the Moon. And I think next turn, if we are able to, I am going to play out a Tangle Wire and try and lock him down that way. No land. And also worth mentioning is Deathrite Shaman is quite a bad card in this matchup in the sense that it doesn't have any sorceries that it can hit, plunking me for 2 damage. Yes, it can gain some life, but likely a small margin of life, and of course it is decent on the ramp aspect. Like it would stop my Strip Mine Wasteland lock with a Crucible. So we're looking at 3 mana worth stuff here. We might see a Magus, we might see a Seeds of Innocence. Yeah, so Seeds of Innocence he got us with, which is pretty good. He now is definitively ahead. We need to get a Workshop here. Yeah, and that's a tough one to take, because unfortunately we can't actually cast anything. So that's okay. He's got 2 cards, and you know, hopefully we can ramp up really nicely here into, you know, a Wormcoil Engine ideally. We'll have to start out with a Trinisphere or something like that. Now Mages of the Moon becomes a lot better. He does have 5 mana on board, and we could be seeing any number of good creatures here. Yeah, Seeds of Innocence, good card. If you can cast it, it's pretty good. So he's gained a couple life, which is interesting that he would do that there. Hopefully he's got no play. Why he would do that main phase, I don't know. It's very interesting to me. Alright, so still has 4 mana here. We could be seeing a Thrun, we could be seeing a Flame-Tongued Kavu, Magus of the Moon. Okay. So Magus is pretty good against us here. What that does do for us is it allows us to get a Trinisphere into play. Or do we just go for Tangle Wire? Tangle Wire doesn't accomplish a whole lot here because we're tapping ourselves down. But we might just need to buy ourselves that kind of time. I mean, that's the reality. We might just need to do that. So I think I'm going to do that. Or is Trinisphere the right play here? Trinisphere, he's got 1 card left in hand. So by doing this, essentially we're shutting ourselves down for a couple turns. But I think that's okay. We don't have any other plays right now. And being able to keep him off some of his bigger guys is pretty important, so that is definitely the power of Seeds of Innocence, though. We had a relatively decent, stable board there, and we're easily able to get back in the game had we not had our board wiped out. So Really, it's the loss of the Sol Ring that mattered there the most. Like, the Sphere wasn't doing much with the amount of mana he had, and the Chalice set at 1. I mean, I haven't seen a 1-drop yet, so... so he's going to try and increase his board presence here. He'll be able to circumvent the Tangle Wire to some extent here. But the good news is that we are at 25 life, and he doesn't have any pressure on us right now. You know, 3 damage a turn, so... if we keep drawing some lands, Wormcoil is going to be very, very good for us. Okay, taking 2, not much we can do. No play? Okay. That could be dangerous for us, but I don't think there's too much we can do about that. I mean, it could be worse. Lodestone, okay. Well, there's no creatures in the graveyard. Now, if he uses his Caldera Hellion, he could make life very difficult for me, but... okay. So he's definitely ramping into something here. We need to draw a land. Any chance here, beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices an artifact. Okay, I think that's pretty much game. I don't know how we're going to get out of that. Yeah, I think that's game at the beginning of each player's upkeep. Alright, we'll have to concede that. So, GG. Well, we didn't get there. Magus was actually pretty good for him there. And... I don't think anything changes for us here. I think maybe we bring in a Chalice again. It's questionable. Yeah, I think we do. Yeah, let's take it in. Let's do it. Can we get to the top 4, folks? You know, another thing that I never thought of either is Grafdigger's Cage is actually pretty good against his Fauna Shamans. I never even thought about that. We're just going to need to have a nice opener here and be able to get a fast start on him. That is sweet. No, I would not like to take a mulligan. That's almost assuredly game. I don't think this hand can be beat with the turn 1 Trinisphere. It can't be beat because his way to get up there is to be able to use his birds and his Deathrite and his Orcish Lumberjack, and he will not be able to cast those, and he has no ramp in his deck whatsoever except the Mana Crypt, which still has to be paid 3 for, so very, very exciting hand for me. I'm extremely happy to see it. And of course we've got Tangle Wire to lock him down further, so... So, PlanetWalls is mulliganed. And he's got a keeper, so... Alright. That is a great start for us. Now, let's put some pressure on here. And next turn we will play out probably a Sol Ring into a Tangle Wire. Well, that's a very dangerous lock for him. Alright. Well, I suspect that's going to do it, because now he's going to be well, I shouldn't get cocky here, but yeah, it's going to be very difficult for him to get ahead of that. God forbid he doesn't have land. And of course this limits him from having any colored mana either, unless he goes for the... Well, I guess he does have red mana in basics. No land? Alright, that's good for us. Well, here's the question. Do I play out this mana crypt now? He's tied down here again. He can play another land. Next turn, I can definitely play the Triskelion and have a wasteland up. And still, yeah, he's just not even close. Alright. Too bad we don't have one more mana, but no Seeds of Innocence or Molder Slug for you, sir. So he seems to be ripping his lands pretty good. Well, I was wrong here, playing the Mana Crypt. Alright. Because I'm going to take his 2 lands here. I think I'm just going to go ahead and play the Crucible. And this is fine. Okay. Would have been nice to get a Chalice out at 1 there, but how many lands does this guy have? He seems to be playing a land every single turn from a mulligan. There we go, we got there. Alright.